Defending Utah covers the stories others are just too often afraid to touch.
They don't nibble around the edges when it comes to pointing out threats to our liberty. They're not afraid to name names and call out organizations.
This is Defending Utah Radio, every Friday morning at 9 on K-Talk 1640. Defending Utah. Think right and wrong, not right and left. Join Defending Utah, because if you're not already on a government watch list, you should be.
And good Freedom Friday morning. We're so glad that you've joined us today. I'm Ben McClintock from defendingatutah.org, where we think right and wrong, not right and left. We have, I think, going to be a really interesting show. I'm really excited to talk to you about, or bring this to you, this information to you. We're going to be talking about 5G. But before we get into that and bring on our guest, I'm just going to do a little bit of house cleaning. We are going to want to encourage you to go to defendingatutah.org and make sure that you are on our email list, getting notifications. Also, if you've got an Android phone, download the Defending Utah app, which means you can re-listen to this entire broadcast in the future, share it with your friends when we put it on our podcast. Also, you can get exclusive reports that we don't put over the radio, and much, much more. If you are that's for Android phones. If you have an iPhone, just go ahead and use the podcast app and subscribe to Defending Utah. If you want to be a part of the program, we're going to not do phone calls in this first hour on this lovely November 8th at 9:07 a.m. right here on K-Talk AM 1640. We are going to be speaking with our guest and kind of really get some information on this 5G. We want to kind of lay it out and so we can stay on topic. But, in the second hour, we want to get your phone calls at 801-254-1640. So with that, what I'm going to do is we're going to bring on our guest. We have on the phone today, we have Eric Winheim. He is a certified electromagnetic radiation specialist, and he's also a certified building biology environmental consultant. And you can read more about his work at WindheimEMFsolutions.com. That's spelled WINDEIM and then EMFsolutions.com. And Eric has he's given testimony before city governments. He's given presentations on the topic of 5G, as well as other things like smart meters and so much more. Thank you so much for joining us today, Eric. Appreciate having you on.
Well, good morning. It's glad to be here and be able to offer some information to everybody out there.
Yeah. Is there anything I missed about your expertise and your certifications?
No, you did a real good job on the Building Biology Institute. And additionally, I took the course called Radio Frequency Safety Officer Training, which is accredited by the IEEE, the Institute for Electrical and Electronic Engineers. And I took that course in order to find out how people were being led to believe about the government standards as promulgated by the Fcc. So that's like going and learning their doctrine and dogma. It was very informative.
It's always good to be able to do that. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on. This is a question that I get a lot: is what's going on with 5G? And I've heard lots of different things on both sides of this. And so we've had other experts talking about, and I think there are maybe you can clear this up, some things on both sides. Some people making wild claims on saying that it's completely safe, that there's no problems with this at all, and maybe there's some on the other side, maybe people are overblowing it. And so I wanted to bring you on to kind of say, hey, what's the truth on this? Because what a lot of people, maybe a lot of our listeners might not know, is that the FCC recently announced that Salt Lake City is going to be a test site for new 5G wireless technology, because who doesn't want to be a guinea pig for new technology, right?
We here in Sacramento, our mayor was really, really proud of the fact that Sacramento was going to be one of the first 5 experimental test sites, and they started putting antennas up a little over a year ago, and some people are already suffering tremendously as a result
from the side effects. And it was actually last year in 2018 that our Utah legislature approved the ability for 5G to be able to come into the state. And none of the articles that I've seen about this announcement from the FCC has even brought up any that there might be concerns out there. And so what I think I'd like to do is maybe have you kind of just introduce the idea, what is 5G, and then get into what are the benefits and what are some of the problems that have been brought up because of it.
Okay, to address that question, 5G does not mean 5 gigahertz, as you may find on your cordless phone or your router. 5G is generation. You know, with 1G, we had talk. With 2G, we had talk and text. With 3G, we had talk, text, and some video, very slow. And then 4G was a big speed up. And all these generations are a recipe of frequencies. They use very low frequencies like 600, 700, or 900 megahertz because they travel very far and they penetrate buildings very deeply. Then as we got more into being able to watch videos and transfer large files from handheld devices or tablets, we needed a faster frequency, like 1900 or 2100 megahertz. Now, they're running out of space or bandwidth. It's just like you can only push so much water through a pipe. So they figured, well, we can't do anything between 6 gigahertz and 20 gigahertz because that's reserved for the military, radar, etc. But above 20 gigahertz, it's wide open. And these are what's called millimeter length waves. The wavelengths are, instead of yards, they're millimeters. And the faster the wavelength vibrates, the more information you can transfer in a given period of time. So 5G is going to incorporate everything we've already got, plus the frosting on the cake is going to be the super fast frequencies, which actually go up to and include the active denial system at 90 megahertz, what the military uses to disperse crowds.
And that's one of the
pictures of that.
Well, and that's a big part too. I don't want to go over, but I just kind of going back to what you're saying about the increased speeds. That's kind of what they are getting everybody excited about. That these speeds are going to be even faster than maybe their home internet. But they're going to be able to get those speeds over their phone, and people are getting excited about that aspect.
See, there's an awful lot of hype. First of all, they say the race to 5G. You know, anytime I've seen a race, I've seen crashes, injuries, and fatalities. Okay, and
point.
you know we are the people with a capital P, and we are not in the military, so we're not willing to take acceptable losses. We want to preserve and protect life.
Right. Which gets to your point that I kind of interrupted. What you were saying, that this gets into the wavelengths that are used to disperse crowds. Like, talk more about that.
Okay, well, the active denial system is a Humvee with a large 6-foot diameter dish on top that focuses a beam on a crowd, and there's no person, no matter how tough, that can stand there for more than 2 seconds because instantly it heats up the first fraction of a millimeter of your skin, and it feels like it's on fire.
And that's the same frequency they're using for 5G?
No, not yet. Okay. But that's 90 gigahertz. Currently, Verizon is using 28 gigahertz here in Sacramento, and AT&T, I think, is going to use 39 gigahertz. And what we do know, articles from the IEEE specifically say that at currently allowed power levels, a handheld 5G device will overheat your hand and the skin. And, you know, the next question is, well, what about your eyeball that's maybe an inch away from the phone?
Yeah.
So what they're really doing is they're telling us already that this is going to be damaging to human bodies. And the next thing is, well, if the eye is only another inch away, what about that? And recently I heard from some knowledgeable people that because of this, the industry is pushing the FCC to increase the limits. You know, if you can't hit the target, move the bullseye to where the bullets are hitting. So what they're doing is they're adjusting They're trying to adjust the radiation levels, expand them so they'll be all-inclusive of what's needed. But a handheld phone is going to have similar but slower results than the active denial pain ray.
So it's going to have, but we are going to see an increase in radiation, which the current levels have already been linked to different kinds of cancer.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I gave a presentation in Davis yesterday to the Davis Anti-Microwave Network. There are dozens and dozens, hundreds, even thousands of peer-reviewed reports that show there's symptoms, pain, suffering, injury, and even death at radio frequency, radiation power density levels much, even thousands or tens of thousands of times lower than FCC radiation limits.
Wow. So kind of tell us a little bit, what are we looking at then with this? If there is, what's the next step on this?
Well, it used to be that, cell towers were so uncommon. When you're driving your child down the street, the child would say, "Hey, look, Daddy, is that a cell tower?"
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. You might see one every 3 or 4 miles. But as more people got addicted to using a handheld mobile device, they needed more of those. And now they found out, well, we need them every 200 feet up and down streets. And because it's not that we don't have great coverage already. Mm-hmm. We need more capacity.
Right, because the more people you have surfing the net, the more those towers you're going to need to be able to handle that load.
Exactly. It's kind of like there's fire hydrants every block or so. Why? We need one close by to where a fire might be developing. Now, the other thing I want to point out to you, studies have shown that if you want to make a phone call on a flip phone, it uses 1 unit of radiation. And if you want to watch a video or send a photo on a smartphone, it uses 300 units of radiation. And then if you move up to a tablet, which is getting more popular, or a really large smartphone, it uses 1,300 units of radiation. So, it's like Pogo said, we have met the enemy and he is us. If you're using a smartphone to watch videos or a tablet to watch videos, you're the problem. And you're the reason why they need to put up more of these antennas all over town. Maybe right in front of your daughter's second-story bedroom window, which would be very tragic.
Wow. So before I get into kind of the major, the obvious consequences of it that I don't think the FCC, our state governments, or our city governments are telling us, what are maybe some things that are maybe overblown? Like people are saying it's going to microwave everybody's brains. I'm just making, is there anything that people are saying that is like, oh, that's extreme, that's not going to be that bad?
Well, there is a lot of uninformed extremism, kind of like Chicken Little talk. Mm-hmm. But there's actually, even Chicken Little was right, because meteorites do hit the Earth's surface every once in a while. But, unfortunately, that uninformed enthusiasm, irrational exuberance, mm-hmm. It clouds the true facts. And so the industry and the paid-off political critters,
that music you hear, we're heading to a break. I need to cut you off. We'll finish this thought when we get back from the break. We are talking about 5G technology coming to Salt Lake. We are speaking with Eric Windheim of WindheimEMFSolutions.com. More right here on the Defending Utah radio show when we get back from the break. This Defending Utah presentation brought to you in part by Anderson Accounting, AndersonAccounting.com, Trust Plumbing, 801-808-5470, Higher Calling Firearms, HigherCallingFirearms.com, Pioneer Family Scholars, Black Lotus Web Dev, BlackLotusWebDev.com, American Appliance at 801-254-2566, Shem Financial Services, 801-856-6151, and the law offices of Garrett T. Smith, 801-477-1570.
It's a fact. More photos of you are being taken than ever before. Are you ashamed of your smile? At last, a new technology that gives a brighter and healthier smile in under 2 hours. And it's fully warranted, so you'll never have to worry about your smile again. Call Dr. Jeremy Thompson at Thompson Dental, 801-254-0835, or visit GoNewSmile.com, and we'll show you how you can restore your faded, yellowed, or worn teeth without surgery, crowns, or implants. And it's backed by a 30-day, 100% satisfaction money-back guarantee. This scientific breakthrough will painlessly transform your appearance in one visit. The smile you've been waiting for will never cost less or look brighter than it will today. Call 801-254-0835 or visit GoNewSmile.com. That's GONU smile.com to revitalize your smile. New smile. It looks good on you.
Welcome back to Defending Utah Radio right here on K-Talk AM 1640. This is Defending Utah Radio. I'm Ben McClintock. And in studio again is my co-host, Micah Turner. And, so I put on the wrong mic.
It's true, I'm here and late as usual.
Late as usual. Well, you've got an excuse. You are a brand new father.
Yeah, but that happens every week.
That happens.
That's why I'm always late.
That's why you're always late. Because you're every week. So that is exciting. I'm looking forward.
That's what happens when you have 30 wives.
Oh my gosh. I'm looking forward to the time that I can get married and have children of my own.
I'm sure you are. You're such a liar, man. You're not looking forward to that at all.
Oh, no, not at all. So we have been talking. Well, okay, before we get back to our guest, make sure and you download the Defending Utah app onto your Android device, or if you've got an iPhone, make sure that you are subscribing to the Defending Utah podcast in your podcast app. It's interesting, when we first decided to do an app, we did a little polling, and the responses we got were Android. So we did our Android app first, because these things aren't exactly the cheapest thing, and it's a little bit more in detail for an iPhone app. But now I'm looking at the actual data and analytics, and everybody that listens, the vast majority of people that listen to our program, the podcast, are people from iPhones. And so maybe we we went the wrong direction there. But
well, not anymore. Not anymore. The vast people aren't iPhones.
The listeners? No, they still are.
No. Because now we have the Android app. So
well, it still hasn't changed that, which is maybe we are adding to the problem here that our guest is talking about. We've got Eric Winheim from WinheimEMFSolutions.com talking about the issues of the 5G technology, because the FCC just announced that Salt Lake City is going to be one of the test cities for this new technology. And we get to be the guinea pigs here to find out how this is going to affect everyone. But Eric is an expert in this field, and he's done studies and actually helps people to be able to overcome the issues of 5G and other EMF problems. So before we went to the break, we were talking about some of the things. You talked about Chicken Littles and people that are uninformed maybe saying things. Kind of finish your thought that you were getting into before we went to the break.
Yeah, and I want to back up just a little bit and tell you how I gained all this information about this. As a building biologist, my role is a building doctor, not a body doctor. Lots of doctors refer their clients to me because they can't get any results, so they send me out to detect, measure, assign a risk level, and propose and effectuate solutions to reduce exposure to all EMFs, and there's 4 kinds: electric fields, magnetic fields, microwave radiation, and dirty electricity. And one of them, the fastest growing toxin out of all of that, is wireless radiation. Mm-hmm. In fact, the app, the phone, the whole world is moving towards eating on the run, literally. I remember when I was a young child, my mother said, when you eat at the table. Okay, and I have a computer on a table here, but everybody wants to have a handheld device and watch a video even when they're pumping gas or changing a diaper. And that is driving a demand for faster transmission and more bandwidth, which is the same as volume. Consider it as gallons per minute on a hose. So we need a lot more antennas. And 5G is going to incorporate all the other stuff, 3G, 4G, maybe 2G for a little while, but no more 1G. We're going to need a lot more antennas everywhere. And they'll end up in people's residential areas, right outside their sleeping areas. And one thing wireless radiation definitely does is it keeps you awake at night by suppressing the release of melatonin. And that, if you rob a man of sleep, you can take his health away a day, a week, a month, a year at a time. Or you can create huge and painful symptoms, headache, fatigue, insomnia, nightmares, brain fog, heart palpitations. So I've done a lot of study along the way to find out why this is actually happening, and I have reviewed hundreds of peer-reviewed studies on this.
So what are some of the claims you've heard out there that you say this is not true, that issue is not a problem with 5G or any of these technologies?
Okay, well, this is the standard mantra from the FCC. Mm-hmm. They say that unless your body heats up 1 degree centigrade, which is 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's core body temperature, by the way, there can't possibly be any injury whatsoever. In fact, the IEEE standard C95.1, 2015, says the only 4 things that might happen if you exceed your body temperature of 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit is shocks and burns, painful electrostimulation, or heat exhaustion or sunstroke. So they look at your body as a piece of meat with a meat thermometer stuck in it and say if it doesn't heat up more than 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit, anything you say is just hearsay. We don't recognize it.
If we're not cooking
so they
you
look
like
at
a
you
hamburger,
as
then there's no problem.
Yeah. And so what they're basically saying is you have to be cooked before you are harmed. But I have clients that are so sensitive they can feel a cell phone 10 feet away. They know when they walk into a restaurant that there's Wi-Fi.
Sure.
They can feel cell towers as they drive down the highway. So the people who hurt the most call me, and I get to see them and help them with their lives.
And that's not going to be everyone, because just like with vaccines or other health issues, not everybody's going to be affected the same way. And the same thing with these EMF waves. Not everybody is going to be as harmed as others, but there is going to be a segment of the population that is going to be extremely harmed by it, and maybe even everybody to some extent. Am I wrong there?
Yeah, partially true, Ben. Everybody is harmed. When you look at the blood, when you look at the endorphin levels, when you look at the hormone suppression, everybody is susceptible to one degree or another.
Okay.
Now, the lucky ones are symptomatic immediately. It's like touching a stove. Ouch! You pull your hand back. But if you didn't feel that pain, you might leave your finger on the stove burner until it's actually incinerated.
True.
So everybody is injured by this. There is no superhuman. But some people are symptomatic much, much, much earlier than others.
God, and they're the ones that are kind of like the canary in the coal mine to let everybody know what's going on.
Yes, and they become actually delusionally psychotic. They can become suicidal.
Because of the lack of sleep that you're talking about that it can cause. That affects your mental function.
Oh, yeah. I have a whole list of symptoms here, headache, fatigue, insomnia, dizziness, brain fog, tinnitus, skin rashes, irritability, agitation, anxiety, pressure in the eyes, heart palpitations, arrhythmia, chest pain, adrenal problems, digestive problems, dehydration, bed wetting, uncontrolled, loss of bowel control.
Wow. Is it actually linked to cancer? Like, I've heard claims that a 5G cell tower went up and 5 kids at the school got cancer because of it. Is that
Well, I did
possible?
the study on that school in Ripon, California.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think that's the one you're talking about. the levels at that school that I measured were less than Wi-Fi exposure inside the classroom. Now, I was not allowed to examine the whole school. It was a very, very short period of time to just take exterior measurements. They're definitely dangerous. They were 25 to 44,000 microwatts per meter squared. But inside in the classroom, you're getting 50 to 150,000 all day long from that Wi-Fi on the ceiling. Mm-hmm. And I want to tell you, the really bad news is when you hold your phone up to your head, whether it's a smartphone or a flip phone, you're getting over 2,500,000 microwatts right into your brain. So, there's plenty of studies from the National Toxicology Institute and the Ramazzini Institute in Italy that recently have showed that rats exposed to on and off cell phone usage developed cancer, period. And they say the evidence is very clear. Yet the powers that are in control of all this, the FCC, they say they don't recognize those 10-year, $15 million studies that were actually performed by the U.S. government. So you wonder why. Well, you don't have to look too far. The FCC is a captured agency. There's an article on the Internet called The FCC is a Captured Agency by Norman Allister. And we start looking at who's in charge. Currently, Ajit Pai is the chairman of the FCC, and he used to be an attorney for Verizon.
Well, there's no conflict of interest there, I'm sure.
So this you have to duck and cover, look out for yourself, and nobody in the government is going to do anything for you because there's so much corporate profit and there's so much tax revenue. Neither government or corporations want to slow this down.
So what are some of the things that the FCC or the industry says isn't true but is true, the dangers of it?
Well, first of all, their big lie, it's partially true. So it's a sugar-coated lie, as they say. Wireless radiation from communication devices doesn't have enough energy to knock an electron out of orbit, which means it's non-ionizing. An X-ray machine can actually knock an electron out of orbit because it's ionizing radiation. Mm-hmm. But they say, cell phones, Wi-Fi, all that doesn't have enough power. Well, they're partially right. It won't cause cancer that way. But it can make single-strand DNA breaks. Maybe not a double-strand DNA break immediately, but if you get enough single-strand DNA breaks, some on this side, some on that side, some on this side, some on that side, then you couple that with inadequate sleep, where you don't get your melatonin, which is your God-given rest and repair hormone. It's like not repairing broken rungs on a ladder. Sooner or later, you're going to be walking up it, and it's going to collapse. And it's like not cleaning the bugs off your windshield. Sooner or later, they're going to get to the point where you can't even see out. So the deprivation of normal repair at night when you sleep is one of the major causes of cumulative things that lead up to cancer.
And that leads to the next kind of question I had about the 5G technology that the FCC is bringing to Salt Lake City. Is what I've heard is that it's like kind of like a microwave in a single direction, where if like birds fly by, they can get cooked and just die. Is that accurate, or is that maybe overblown?
I really couldn't comment on that yet because I haven't seen it and I haven't seen it documented. But there's a big difference between the current cell towers and 5G. Current cell towers are always on, and they're omnidirectional, kind of like a light bulb in the middle of the room sending its light out in all directions. Mm-hmm. Now, 5G is going to be more like a searchlight, and when it gets in order for a 5G download, it will send a beam, a narrow-focused beam, somewhere between 5 and 15 degrees beam angle at that data requester. So the 5G antenna is not going to be sensing who wants the information. The 4G antenna will do that, and they work hand in hand. The 4G is kind of like a forward observer, and it says, okay, that guy wants 5G, and instantly it gives information to the 5G antenna, put a spotlight on him, and give him the information he wants. So you want to stay out of the beam, and you want to stay away from people that have handheld 5G devices, because you do not want to be between that person and the 5G antenna or right behind him, because you will be in the line of fire.
And what's the danger of being in the line of fire?
Well, the 5G is the type of radiation it delivers is all absorbed in the first half millimeter of your body tissue. The current 3G and 4G can go in a couple inches, so it spreads the energy out. But when you focus all this energy on the surface of your eye, I do believe we're going to have a considerable increase in the amount of eye cancer, cataracts, etc., as people hold these 5G phones right up to their face.
And like you're saying, it's a spotlight, so even if you're not the one requesting the information, if you're in that line of fire, so to say, then you can be a victim of it, even an unwilling victim, as opposed to the guy that's got the 5G and willing to do it.
Yeah, and whether birds or insects or whatever are flying right by the antenna when that beam goes out, I guess it's kind of like if you're 200 yards away and someone shoots a shotgun at you, BBs may or may not go that far, but if you're 2 feet away from a shotgun, we all know what's going to happen to you.
Right. We're headed to another break. We are speaking with Eric Windheim from WindheimEMFSolutions.com. He's a certified electromagnetic radiation specialist talking to us about 5G technology and the dangers of it, because Salt Lake City is going to be a test market, according to the FCC. More on this in the Defending Utah radio program when we come right back from this break. This Defending Utah presentation brought to you in part by Anderson Accounting, AndersonAccounting.com, Trust Plumbing, 801-808-5470, Higher Calling Firearms, HigherCallingFirearms.com, Pioneer Family Scholars, Black Lotus Web Dev, BlackLotusWebDev.com, American Appliance at 801-254-2566, Shem Financial Services, 801-856-6151, and the law offices of Garrett T. Smith, 801-477-1570.
It's a fact. More photos of you are being taken than ever before. Are you ashamed of your smile? At last, a new technology that gives a brighter and healthier smile in under 2 hours. And it's fully warranted, so you'll never have to worry about your smile again. Call Dr. Jeremy Thompson at Thompson Dental, 801-254-0835, or visit GoNewSmile.com, and we'll show you how you can restore your faded, yellowed, or worn teeth without surgery, crowns, or implants. And it's backed by a 30-day, 100% satisfaction money-back guarantee. This scientific breakthrough will painlessly transform your appearance in one visit. The smile you've been waiting for will never cost less or look brighter than it will today. Call 801-254-0835 or visit GoNewSmile.com. That's GONU Smile.com to revitalize your smile. New smile. It looks good on you.
Here we go. This is Defending Utah Radio. We're back right here on K-Talk AM 1640. I am Ben McClintock, the only radio talk show host that has a comb-over you can hear. And my co-host...
I love how that's your intro.
Micah Turner.
You can hear my comb-over.
And we, just before we get back to our guest again, want to make sure that you are, if you want to listen to this program in its entirety, as well as our next, when we get into questions and answers from our callers, you need to be downloading the Defending Utah app onto your smartphone, because after listening to this, you're probably going to want to throw away your smartphone. And it might not be the worst idea in the whole world. Or if you've got an iPhone to subscribe to us through the iPhone podcast app. And that way you get all of our past shows, special reports, and much, much more.
Yeah, and if you don't download our app, we will know.
We'll know.
And the Defending Utah Secret App Police will come to your house in the middle of the night. They will knock down your door. They will grab your phone and install our app.
That's how we work.
Yeah, and that's just the way it is if you don't take our app.
And if you like what we do, if you appreciate having this kind of content that you don't get anywhere else, especially right here in Salt Lake City, make sure and become a member of Defending Utah today. Go to defendingutah.org and click on the membership tab. You get tons of awesome benefits, plus you get to support this kind of programming. So go to defendingutah.org. Let's go back to our guest on the line. We have Eric Winheim from Winheim MFF Solutions .com talking about 5G, because just recently the FCC came out and said that Salt Lake City is going to be one of these areas where they're going to test this new 5G technology. And who just doesn't love being a guinea pig for new technology? Nothing. What could go wrong? Eric?
Is that a question?
That's a question. Right. Well, that's kind of what we've been talking about, right? Is what can go wrong?
I think we already know very well what happens when people are exposed to wireless radiation, whether it's from a radar, a cell phone, a Wi-Fi. You can see it in the blood. Normal, healthy blood, all the red blood cells are separate and equidistant like stars in the sky. And the purpose of that is that so the whole surface of the red blood cell can be exposed for oxygen and carbon dioxide transfer. Oxygen from the lungs to the body tissue, carbon dioxide from the body tissue back to the lungs. And if that stops for more than a minute or two or three or four, you can suffer brain injury and or die. Now, when you expose blood to Wi-Fi, which I call Wi-Fi blood, the red blood cells are stacked up like coins. Remember when you were a young boy or girl and you stacked up your nickels and said, "I'm rich"? Well, now there's hundreds of times less surface area. The viscosity of the blood has increased, so you have less oxygen coming to the cells, more carbon dioxide building up in the tissue, which raises tissue acidity, and the blood is thicker. So you've got the perfect recipe for growth of cancer and or a stroke.
Wow.
So the more you expose yourself to this, the more you're impairing the ability of your red blood cells to do their job.
And that's the current Wi-Fi technology. Am I
anything that is a microwave radiation source.
So
it's all the same: cigarettes, cigars, Tipperillos, cell phone, Wi-Fi, Xbox,
iPad,
Bluetooth, cell tower, radar.
I remember I see this YouTube video. This guy conducted a rather informal experiment. He got a big bucket of like cow blood from a slaughterhouse, and he got a giant neodymium magnet, and he wanted to see if it would do anything. Like one that was like dangerous,
right?
Like if you get too close to metal and your hand's in the way, it's going to chop your freaking hand off.
Wow!
And so I mean, pretty extreme forces. But he was actually able to pull the blood up on the side of a bucket.
Well, that might be because there's
some iron.
Hemoglobin, there's iron in blood, but that's talking about magnetic fields. What we're talking about here is wireless radiation, which travels through air in the form of a wave, kind of like a sound wave or a light wave. And it happens from the low kilohertz range, which is AM radio, up to the gigahertz range. And most cell towers right now are somewhere between 900 megahertz and 2,500 megahertz, but 5G will be at 28,000 megahertz or 40,000 megahertz.
So is there going to be that big of a difference between what we're experiencing now with 4G and 5G? You were saying that the 5G is kind of like a spotlight where it's just going to be directed towards the people requesting it. So if you're outside of that, if I don't know how much you can avoid it, but if it's that direct, is it you're going to be able to avoid those 5G rays much easier than the than the 4G waves. Am I?
Yeah, but even if you stay out of the beam of the Searchlight type 5G millimeter wave data stream, there's going to be the need for tens of millions of more antennas of 4G, which is the helper to 5G. 5G can't operate effectively without backup of 4G, 3G antennas, which are going to be the backbone. So the overall saturation of an area is going to go up tremendously. And, I have a special radiation meter that I use driving up and down the road, and you just can't get away from it on the open road unless you, get way out of town. Because up and down the freeway in an urban area, there's tons of cell towers because most people on the road use their phones.
And you're on the freeway, and people are going to be using it, and you've got all of these, just thousands of people on the highway. And so even if you're not having a cell phone in your car, you're going to be having people on both sides of you getting these 5G signals sent right through you.
Well, yeah, I have some clients that are so damaged from cell towers, and that person's name is Ann Mills, and she wrote a wonderful book called All EMF'd Up on Amazon.
All EMF'd
And they hired me to consult with them about shielding their Volkswagen Vanagon, and they put special RF reflecting film on all the windows because they couldn't even drive into town because of the cell phone chatter from people in the car next to them. And it reduced the radiation so much that they could drive all the way across the country relatively pain-free.
And so, and that was just with 4G technology was causing them that issue, let alone 5G.
Yeah, now just keep in mind there's going to be a lot more of everything because of 5G. And the trend is everybody wants empowerment. Everybody wants convenience. Everybody wants it right now. They don't want to wait till they go home and look at their 27-inch screen computer. They want to look at it at their handheld mobile device while they're driving down the freeway with the steering wheel in one hand and two kids in the back seat. So the whole thing about mobile devices is causing fatalities on the freeway right now just because of distracted drivers. But the rate of increase is accelerating. It's not just going up. It's accelerating. And we're going to reach a point sooner or later where there's not enough electricity to power all this transmission. That may be a ways off, but right now we're saturating the planet so much with this radiation, it's going to be very, very hard to find a shelter.
And that brings me into what I wanted to get into next, but stop me if we're moving ahead too fast. If there's something, is there any more of the dangers, any more of the issues that we should bring up before we get into some of the things that, A, we can do to stop it, and B, if it's there, or the stuff that already is there, how can we protect ourselves from it? So is there anything else we need to cover first, or should we move on to that?
Yeah, okay. So I get called out to people's houses for one reason or another. Like, there's a cell tower over there, or there's a power line over there. So I go out. And what I normally find in 85 to 90% of the homes is the biggest problem is inside the house. The Wi-Fi, the Xbox, the PlayStation, the streaming TV, the cordless phones, which they all have in their either in their front pocket or in their breast pocket.
I don't know anybody that doesn't have, all those things you described.
So when I go out there, okay, so you hire me. I want you to sign this disclaimer, and I'm going to be a house doctor. Okay, so we go around and we identify everything in your house. I said, before you worry about that cell tower 300 yards away, let's do what you can do today, and that's turn all these things off, and then tomorrow you can start replacing them with equivalent technology that doesn't rely upon wireless radiation. Like you can hardwire your phone. You don't need a cordless phone. You can forward your cell phone to your landline, so you don't need it in your front pocket if you're a man.
What's interesting is in our city, they actually, the internet and phone company is the same, and they give you a substantial discount if you get rid of your landline phone.
Well, that's penny wise and pound foolish.
Yep.
So you first of all, you have to clean up your own house. Now, some of my appointments are very short, 15 minutes. As soon as they sign the disclaimer, I turn on my meter and they say there's nothing you can do here to make this house safe because you're underneath power lines, or the cell tower, which is an easy softball toss away from your house. There's nothing you can do to make the outside of your house safe, and you can make the inside safe with $20,000 to $40,000 worth of shielding. Are you willing to do that? If they say no and say then there's no need to discuss anything else.
Then it's time to move, or just deal with whatever health effects you're going to have because you're not willing to do what it takes to fix it.
Yeah, now get this. Some of my clients are certified electrical engineers, and 4 times this year I had appointments from electrical engineers and said, I'm curious if I'm at risk from this power line or from this cell tower. And it was always very short. I said, yes, you need to move. There's nothing you can do. And then 4 times this year, I've taken electrical engineers and doctors out on real estate pre-purchases, and I say, there's no way I'd ever recommend you live here, period. Why? Well, you're too close to the cell tower. So this one engineer from Intel, he calls me back. We drive out to another house. It's in the same housing development, just 200 feet further away from the cell tower.
So he's not really getting it sounds like.
Well, see, I think the engineers are intentionally, this information is intentionally omitted from their training. Quite often they say, I've never heard anything about this, and I'm a certified engineer with a master's in electrical engineering. I said, yeah, I know. It was planned that way.
Wow. So how about...
by the way, one of them sold their house. The other 2 people have it listed. They took my information to heart, and none of them bought the houses.
Wow. So so that's a big thing. If people that are listening are kind of in the market to move anyways, then these are some things to look out for, or to reach out to you to help them to find something that's going to
yeah,
make sure
absolutely. The Building Biology Institute has 25 principles, and principle number 1 is the site has to be safe and free of external toxins.
So I saw one of your presentations that you gave down in Tucson, and listened to the one you gave in Elk Grove, California, and you talked about how there are some people that are able to build houses with some of these protections in them. And so not only finding a house, but maybe if you're looking to build a house, there are things that people can do to help themselves be protected from some of these waves.
Yes, there are. And it's kind of like being a soldier in a foxhole. If you want to stick your head up and have a good look around, you're a target. So that means you don't want to build on a ridge. And you don't want to have a house location where you can see a ridge line, unless you own that ridge line, or where you can see a building, a structure, a tower, or any other kind of man-made structure where somebody can be dry.
They can put that out. Well, let me cut you off. We are headed to the break. I apologize. We are talking with Eric Winheim, and who's an expert he's a certified electromagnetic radiation specialist from Winheim EMF Solutions.
You're listening. And
we are going to be talking more and taking your questions when we get back from the break right here on K-Talk Radio. This Defending Utah presentation brought to you in part by Anderson Accounting, andersonaccounting.com, Trust Plumbing, 801-808-5470, Higher Calling Firearms, highercallingfirearms.com, Pioneer Family Scholars, Black Lotus Web Dev, blacklotuswebdev.com, American Appliance at 801-254-2566, Shem Financial Services, 801-856-6151, and the law offices of Garrett T. Smith, 801-477-1570.
It's a fact. More photos of you are being taken than ever before. Are you ashamed of your smile? At last, a new technology that gives a brighter and healthier smile in under 2 hours. And it's fully warranted, so you'll never have to worry about your smile again. Call Dr. Jeremy Thompson at Thompson Dental, 801-254-0835, or visit GoNewSmile.com, and we'll show you how you can restore your faded, yellowed, or worn teeth without surgery, crowns, or implants. And it's backed by a 30-day, 100% satisfaction money-back guarantee. This scientific breakthrough will painlessly transform your appearance in one visit. The smile you've been waiting for will never cost less or look brighter than it will today. Call 801-254-0835 or visit GoNewSmile.com. That's GONU Smile.com to revitalize your smile. New Smile. It looks good on you.
Join Defending Utah, because if you're not already on a government watch list, you should be.
Good Freedom Friday morning. This is Ben McClintock and Micah Turner from DefendingUtah.org. It is November 8th, 2019. It's 10:08 in the morning. And we encourage you to please go to the DefendingUtah.org and become a member, support this kind of programming, support what we do, and also get a ton of great benefits. Also, make sure that you download the Defending Utah app so that you can listen to this program in whole, because I think this is going to be one you're going to want to listen to and share with your friends and family, not only because of what we're talking about with the dangers of 5G, but also what we're going to be talking about, too, is some of the solutions. We got into it a little bit in the last hour. We've been speaking with Aaron Winheim from WinheimEMFSolutions.com. He's a certified electromagnetic radiation specialist, as well as a certified building biology environmental consultant. And he has spoken to different city councils and different organizations about the dangers of the new 5G technology coming out, which the reason why we're talking about this is because the FCC has actually named Salt Lake City as one of these test sites for the new 5G wireless technology. And in 2018, the state legislature actually approved the 5G technology coming to the state of Utah. So in the last hour, we've been speaking with Eric, and he's been talking about a lot of the dangers, not only of 5G, but of the EMF, all of the different dangers through different kinds of EMF. If you've got any questions, give us a call at 801-254-1640, 801-254-1640. Eric, is there anything we wanted to finish up from the last hour that we want to, as we get into some of the things that you've done to be able to help people, and also some of the things I want to talk about was what you've been able to do to get rid of smart meters and the dangers that those cause, and all the things that you've been working on.
Well, yeah, to finish up on where you want to live, a safe site, I've been through Salt Lake City several times, and it's a flat plain butting up against the Wasatch Range. You're going to have to, if you want to avoid being irradiated, you need to avoid a view of infrastructure. And that means being in a canyon. If you're in a housing development with CC&Rs, they'll keep cell towers out, but some private landowner could put up a cell tower on top of a ridge because he'll get $2,000 to $10,000 a month, and he can irradiate the entire valley below him. So you have to take a look, where can I build or live where it's unlikely that somebody could place a cell tower, not just where there is one already.
That seems, maybe I'm being pessimistic, but that seems a little there's not enough ridges for everybody to move to.
Well, pretend like you're playing hide and go seek. You don't want to walk along a ridge line. You want to get low and stay out of the line of fire of somebody that could erect a cell tower that could irradiate you and make your family residence an EMF hellhole.
So is that like an either-or? Either move to, like you said, move one of these ridges, or you can put all these different blockers onto your home, your windows and different things like that, or is that only, or is putting that stuff into your home not as helpful?
Well, you raised up a couple things here. We can't keep running because the demand is like Pogo said, we have met the enemy and he is us. Mm-hmm. Everybody that wants a handheld device to watch videos rather than just make telephone calls is the reason why there's such an exponential growth in cell towers, 3G, 4G, and 5G. That's the problem. People watching videos, transferring large files on handheld mobile devices. Mm-hmm. So until people kick that habit, we're going to have a lot more of these antennas. The other thing is you can turn your house into a bunker with proper shielding, which is best done during construction I've done some rather large projects, one of them right next to Arlington National Cemetery. You can shield walls, you can shield ceilings, you can shield windows, but then guess what? You'll never be able to use a wireless device in the house because, number one, you won't get reception. Number two, the cell phone will ramp up its power trying to get out. And number three, all that radiation is going to reflect back inward on you, and you will be like a potato inside of a reflection oven.
That doesn't seem optimal.
Potatoes are delicious.
So, go ahead.
People do hurt themselves a lot by installing, say, I got all my shielding up, and now I feel even worse. It sounds like something right out of the Three Stooges because they're still using their Wi-Fi inside their house.
He's just bouncing around in their house, going through their freaking brain.
So first of all, you need to have an assessment, proper protocol, proper meters, find out what are your sources, where are they coming from, and what is under your immediate control. And quite often that's enough. If you just get rid of all the stuff, like some people have the Wi-Fi underneath their kid's bed, they call me and say, my kid was kicked out of school. They say he's acting strange. He's not allowed to be with other children. I say, get the Wi-Fi out from underneath the bed, get rid of the smart meter that's on his bedroom wall, forbid him from playing with Xbox and PlayStation. 6 months later, he's back in school. Everything is fine.
So how do you get rid of the smart meters?
Well, the smart meter is a very insidious device. What it does is it relays the information to the utility, maybe once every 6 seconds or so. They'll tell you only 6 times a day, but that's false. So it sends out a big pulse of microwave radiation. And here in California, we expose the utilities for their lies and falsehoods that they published and passed out in brochures. And we got the right to either retain the analog meter or get it returned. Depending upon your utility, you may do the same thing, but if you look up smart meter harm, you'll get thousands of pages of bad news about the injury they've done and how to get them off.
So is there a website or a document that people can read or watch a video on how to try to get their power company to return the analog? And if not, what can we do to protect ourselves from the smart meter that's permanently there?
Okay. Well, just start searching, go to a non-Google search engine.
Yeah.
Such as
Google blocks
Start
everything.
Page or something, DuckDuckGo.
Yeah.
Put in smart meter removal. And you'll see that there's some organizations around the country that have effectuated the removal of smart meters. Now, in my case, I spoke at our utility 97 times. I exposed numerous falsehoods. I called for the dismissal of the general manager. And we got our utility, Sacramento Municipal Utility District, which is the 6th largest municipal utility in the country, we got them to become the first to back up, change course, and allow people to either keep the analog meter or have it returned. But they love these smart meters because that way they can fire all the meter readers.
Right.
And it reports, it's like Santa Claus. You better watch out. You better not pout, because this smart meter knows every time you turn something on. It even knows what you're turning on, depending upon the electrical signature. So, I know that your radio station is very much aware of government surveillance. A smart meter is an electronic surveillance device.
It's basically a phone for your house as far as data tracking. It's
everything electrical.
Yeah, I don't think most realize how tight in that is.
I've heard, maybe you can correct this, that with the smart meter they can actually specifically shut off specific devices. Is that accurate or no?
Well, no, that's the goal. Most electronic devices, according to industry reports, since 2013, they're all so-called smart devices, and they have a device in there called a Zigbee transceiver, and it sends a message back and forth to the smart meter, like, hey, they're using their refrigerator again. They're opening the door too many times per hour. And the utility can say, in the essence of preventing a blackout, we can prevent you from using your heat pump, electric oven, air conditioner.
And if anybody thinks that that's extreme, just look at what California's doing right now. They're just shutting off everybody's power, just carte blanche. not.
Oh yeah,
specific
and I want to
devices.
give you some good news about that. A number of my clients, where the kids have epilepsy, ADD, autism, they said, "Oh my gosh, our children are doing so much better
Now that the power's
during those
off."
3 or 4 days when the power's off."
Wow. Well, I
So
guess
there's proof positive.
Well, and so to maybe some naysayers or critics say, well, so are you saying to protect ourselves we have to go back to the 1800s?
No, but I do want to point out one thing. Dr. Sam Milham, who's an MD and a Master of Public Health, he pointed out in an epidemiological study that the Amish people have half the rate of cancer, no ADD, and no autism, and what they don't have in their life is electricity. Now, we need electricity, just like we need fire. Fire can cook your food or burn your house down or burn your whole town down, like we're seeing here in California more and more. So you have to manage electricity properly. And unfortunately, the only thing we're thinking about electricity is the benefits, and that includes microwave radiation transmission. But we have to handle it carefully or it'll bite us and hurt us and can kill us.
And so we have to be smarter about our use of it. We can't just be so obsessed with convenience and the couch potato nature of Wi-Fi and whatnot, and just be more smart about it. Maybe only use, like you said, landlines. Or are you saying that we should get rid of cell phones altogether, or maybe go back to the flip phone, or what do you think along with those lines?
Well, I got a cell phone. It's in the glove compartment, and I turn it on between appointments to call back to my home office and get messages. I never give my cell phone number out because that's the first one everybody's going to call. Cell phone is a good life-saving device, but when you look at cell phone traffic, we all know what the traffic pattern is on the freeway. It's rush hour in the morning, it's rush hour in the afternoon, and there's a small rush hour in the mid-afternoon when moms pick up kids from school. Same thing with cell phone traffic. There's a high correlation between time on the road and cell phone chatter. Except in the evening, when people get home, it continues on very high until about 9 or 10 at night because people are laying in their bed, playing with their cell phone, watching videos, when what they really need to do is say, forget about that. Forward the cell phone to your landline and watch your videos on a decent-sized screen, like a desktop computer.
Do they sell? I'm not joking. Do they sell corded phones still?
Say that again?
Do they sell corded landlines?
I'm talking to you on one right now.
Well, yeah,
it's
but
hooked
it
up
could be
to
from the 70s.
AT&T. I'm talking to you on AT&T Digital Voice. It comes in on my internet, and it's VoIP.
VoIP, yeah.
Voice over Internet Protocol.
And that's safe.
It's 100% no radiation.
And you can get the okay. Well, I guess we'll have to look into that because most people I know, myself included, got rid of our landline years ago, and we only use a cell phone for our telephone.
My mother-in-law for a Christmas gag gift gave me a phone handle that just has an auxiliary jack in it. You plug it into your
cell phone.
Yeah, so it looks like a corded phone. It works.
No, those actually are helpful. Just like with hand grenades and nuclear bombs, the further away you are, the safer you are. And you want to get your cell phone at least 3 feet away from you. And the only way to get good audio control over that is to have a headset, because if you hold your cell phone 3 feet away and use the speaker, half the people won't understand what you're trying to tell them.
So, but you were saying before, though, with the headset, if it's like a Bluetooth, you're still getting some of that radiation.
Bluetooth is radiation.
So if you're going to do a headset, you'd be a wired headset?
That's correct. Remember, cigars, cigarettes, Tipperellos, cell phones, Wi-Fi, cell towers, it's the same thing. It's all radiation.
Sure. But so keep it so you get like if you're using a cell phone, keep it away from you, but use headphones with a 3-foot cord, and so you can keep your phone 3 feet away from you.
Well, yeah. Then the other thing, though, people say, okay, I'm not making a call. I'm going to stick it in my front pocket. Well, I can show you peer-reviewed studies that show that when you do that, after 2 hours, you've got a 40% decrease in sperm viability. Now, healthy human sperm looks like soldiers marching in a parade. after putting a cell phone in your front pocket for 2 hours, they look like soldiers limping back from battle. There's fewer of them. They're not moving nearly as fast, and the tails are all tangled up. So they can't locomote. They can't flagellate. And, earlier this year, about 9 months ago, there was a big article in papers all over the country about sperm count is down 50% in developed countries. So why is that?
Wow. Yeah.
Are you
it's
sure?
a birth control device.
Are you sure nuclear...
Which equals population control.
Are you sure nuclear explosions aren't like hurricanes where, like, if you're in the middle, you're in the eye of the storm and you're okay?
I don't know. Get back to me after you find out.
Yeah, you should test that, Micah. Wow.
Sounds interesting.
We've got people that getting close to the mic. We want to get to the phone lines, if that's okay. Everybody, for some
Sure.
questions? Okay. Let's go to line 5 first. You're on K-Talk with Bennett. Oops, we will not go to line 5. We will go to line 3. You're on K-Talk. What's your comment or question?
Okay, I'm talking to you on my brain microwaving instrument here. So I'll make it fast. I had a big fight with the gas company. They wanted to put on one of the transmitting meters, and he gave me all the bull crap, and I told him he was full of bull crap. And so they said that I could keep the other meter, but they wanted to charge me like $25 or $35 a month extra to have it read.
Right.
And that's a fair chunk of money.
Extortion.
And yeah, right. Or what is it when you do it to a black person, but a white person can do it, or whatever? I don't know. I can't think of the word. But
racism, bigotry.
Yeah. What I was wondering was, how is there a material or something that I could drape over the meter? So that,
gas meters are now in Salt Lake City. Are they on the outside of the house, or are they down in the basement?
Outside.
Mine is on the outside.
Okay. Go down to your automotive supply house and get an oil drip pan and put it between the gas meter and the wall of your house, and it will reflect most of the radiation away from your house.
I assume you're talking about a metal one?
Like a oil drip pan like you'd have underneath the engine of your car in the garage.
Oh, okay.
So just like a thickness of sheet metal would do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm inclined to build a sheet metal box and put it over it so that it doesn't transmit to them anyway. Just because I'm kind of ignorant like that.
You want it to get out and go away. Pretend like you're making a candle lantern and you want to fabricate a reflector so that you're sending it away.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit. My brain's getting microwaved. What was that?
You want to configure your reflection device so that it reflects the radiation away.
Uh-huh.
You don't want to contain it because it's going to bounce around more and more likely to get into your house, I suppose, right?
Yeah, so some people are symptomatic of the gas meters out here. I've heard people say they transmit every 15 seconds. Out here in California, testimony in court says they transmit 4.3 times per day. And the embarrassing thing was the electric smart meter, which transmits normally at 902 megahertz to 920 megahertz. The industry made a big mistake. They informed all the utilities that it only transmits once every 4 hours, so they put that in print. But people with $300 meters were finding out they're going off 10 times per minute, not 6 times per day. And so they made videos. They put them on the YouTube. You can see smart meter videos on YouTube. The meters are going click, 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 click. So we caught the utilities red-handed publishing false information and perpetrating it upon the people. It was very embarrassing. That was more damaging than all the dozens of people we paraded before them at public meetings with sworn testimonies of harm and injury.
So
they said that's debatable, but lying is never acceptable.
So you said with the gas meter you can do that, but with your smart meter, what would you do if you can't get rid of it? How do you protect yourself from the smart meter?
Okay, well, so that's a little different. First of all, I'd put a collar around the smart meter. You know, the smart meter is cylindrical. Uh-huh. So just imagine a big Folgers coffee can, cut out both ends, slide that over the meter, and make kind of like a little gun barrel to direct the energy away. The next thing I would do is...
Like the cones you put around a dog so he doesn't lick a wound?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly, a scratch collar. And then go and get some heavy-duty radiant barrier insulation from Home Depot or Lowe's or some other home improvement store and put up a 8-by-8-foot section of a double-layer radiant barrier on the inside wall, and that will keep almost all of it from coming into your house. It's a simple fix that you can do today before lunch hour.
That's great. Okay, let's go to the next caller. Let's go back to line 5. You're on K-Talk. What's your question or comment?
Yes. Two things. Okay, the crowd control.
Yes.
Okay, didn't the police used it about 10 years ago in Washington, D.C., and I think there were gangs fighting, and it was near a zoo. And when they used it, a woman that was pregnant went into labor. And then I have another question.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
And my second question, and then I'll hang up.
Well, why don't we address the first one?
You want to address the first one? Okay, but keep me on.
Okay, so microwave radiation is correlated to miscarriage. There's a church in San Anselmo, California, when they've got, a lot of churches are hurting. So they put up cell towers on the roof to make some extra bucks. And next to this particular church, there's 2 second-story homes. And although I haven't been on site and talked to the occupants myself, I've heard from several people that 2 young women up there had miscarriages. So I examined the site from Google, and their bedrooms are about 40 or 50 feet away at the same level of the antennas. So, your body knows when the baby isn't going to turn out right, and the result is a miscarriage. The same thing can happen with magnetic fields. Those are peer-reviewed studies. So miscarriage is one of the possible side effects of exposure to electromagnetic radiation. I don't know the specifics, but it's documentable and possible.
Wow, okay. And my second question, are people putting implants, of their phones in their heads? I'm not sure, but do people do that? Where
I'm not aware of that.
I've never heard of that.
Oh.
Coming to a brain near you.
Well, there's the Google glasses, there's the Fitbit, the Apple Watch, and I've seen people when they take their Apple Watch off, there's a horrible rash underneath. It's wearing a wearable wireless device is kind of like having Superman wear a necklace made out of kryptonite.
Well, the thing is, I was working in one place here in Salt Lake. There was a guy that came in, and he had something like kind of a round thing on his head, and that was apparently for the cell phone. And I think I looked it up on the website.
Maybe it was a cochlear implant. That's not if he was hard of hearing or deaf. Some people get implants that are round things in the back of their head.
Maybe that's what it was.
So.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I couldn't comment on that without seeing it or knowing what it actually is.
Hey, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to line 4. You're on the K-Talk with Eric Winheim. What's your comment or question?
I just want to thank you very much for this program. I've been listening to you for years. I work for a department of agency of the government for many years. I'm 40 years service, and my specialty is RF engineering. There's very few of us in the world anymore, and I appreciate this program, and I'm glad to see there's people out there with me helping and educate the populace and the different things. Of course, my specialty is radar and satellite tracking, so I understand the power and the sensitivity to animals and to different situations. In fact, one way we would tune up my radar, I would shoot at the seagulls flying by the ship, and when they fell out of the sky, I knew it was ready. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Okay. Hey,
Keep
thanks
up the
so
good
much.
Work.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the call. If you've got a question for Eric Winheim, give us a call at 801-254-1640 is the number.
If you got a question for that Siegel murderer, I don't know how to call him, but I just wanted to say that.
801-254-1640 is the number.
That was a pretty good quick testimony there.
That was.
Yeah, as to the power of such devices.
So it sounds, just kind of going back to the things that we can do as of course, location of where you want to move to. Talked about ridgeline, avoiding ridgelines, and making it kind of like being in a valley all by yourself, right? Or you can be in a bunker, so to say, where you build your house with certain protection shields over it, and also getting rid of the devices in your home. Going back to, not using Wi-Fi devices, hardwiring your internet, your computers, using a landline phone in the house. And so are you mentioned like Xboxes and PlayStations to protect somebody. Are you saying that the best thing to do is really get your kids to quit playing these dang video games?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, you should probably get a good little inexpensive meter under $200, and you can find those on my website. You need to find something. Okay, what are the things in my house that are emitting radiation? Oh, my gosh, this, that, the other thing. And then number two, during the power outage, some of my clients called me and said, Eric, we've enjoyed having the power off so much, aside from all the rotting food and everything. Right. Everybody is feeling better. And our children, which are autistic or have PANDAS or some other developmental disorder, they're very responsive. We're actually able to have conversations with them. They're not captured by their cell phones. So I think cell phones and tablets are actually antisocial. You see people going to restaurants, and everybody's looking at their screen rather than their mom or their dad or their sister or their wife.
Or their mistress.
Yeah. So okay. So parents are going to have to start really parenting again and saying, you know what, for your long-term health, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to take away the Xbox and the iPad and all the.
Yeah, it used to be
devices.
like we don't read newspaper at the table. We talk to each other. We don't read a book while we're at the dinner table. We talk to each other. We don't look at our screens while we're at the dinner table. We talk to each other. This is family time.
At the table, but how about in general? Like, are these Xboxes off the table permanently for your health, or is it?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Let's go back to the phone lines. You're on K-Talk. What's your question for Eric Winheim?
Yes, I wanted to ask about wearables like magnets and pockets and things like that I've heard about, or pads that you can maybe buy to sit on, or any of those kinds of things. Is he familiar with that?
Well, I guess that's kind of like a bulletproof vest. It should stop some of the harm most of the time. Mm-hmm. But as far as charms, trinkets, and crystals, we have a position paper on subtle energy devices at the Building Biology Institute website. And the short story is, number one, if they make you feel good, well, okay, beware. It just may be reducing your symptoms, but the danger may still be happening. And number two, if they don't do anything, send it back quick and get a refund. Because I have not measured, with all the equipment I've got, I haven't detected that they reduce radiation at all. For example, the stickers you put on the back of the phone, if they really worked, the phone wouldn't be working.
Makes sense.
Interesting.
Thanks for the call.
So much.
Appreciate it. So, I remember watching your presentation that you gave down in Tucson, and you had some pictures. You talked about earlier about the family that you helped out with protecting their Volkswagen Vanagon with some of the shielding over the windows. And also, I also saw some of these outfits. It almost looked like a beekeeper's outfit. It's almost like people that make fun of conspiracy, they call you a tinfoil hatter. It almost looked like, okay, we're wearing our tinfoil hats to protect us from the radiation.
It's a tinfoil hat extra plus.
But that looks like a beekeeper's outfit. Is that?
First of all, tinfoil is a very efficient reflector of wireless radiation. And then those beekeeper outfits, they're extremely small silver thread about the consistency of a woman's nylon stocking. And it allows you to breathe through it, see through it, but it blocks the wavelengths up to about 10 gigahertz.
So that might be something you could use in your home, probably not very practical for driving around or going to work in.
No, but I know some clients, they can't leave the house without that, and in one case, one of those photos that you saw, she feels better in the house. Why? She lives on a beautiful house overlooking the San Francisco Bay Area, and she's getting blasted by the FAA radar, which is located on the top of Mount Tamalpais. And, you know, there's studies out there that shows that the cancer cluster around Air Force bases is sometimes 5 or 7 times higher than the statewide average. And when you do the epidemiological study, you'll find out that the cancer rate drops off to state average or normal as soon as you get over the first ridge line and out of the line of sight of the radar down in the valley. And I'm talking about Rome, New York. Wow.
What are these outfits called? Because even though they might look funny, if they help you, it's worth the it's worth the risk. What would somebody look for to be able to get one of those?
Well,
they search for.
See, first of all, the building biology protocol is detect, measure, assign a risk level, and then provide solutions.
Okay.
But most people want to run immediately to solutions, so they go to Amazon or they go to some sort of sales website, and they load up on stuff that is actually pretty good stuff, but it may not be what they need. So you'd be better off to get a professional assessment of your situation before you spend thousands or tens of thousands of dollars on stuff that isn't right for you.
So you're based in Sacramento. Do you come out to Utah to help that, or do you have like a network of people that you recommend?
The Building Biology Institute has a list of experts. Currently, there's none in Utah. I've flown over Utah on the way to assessments in Arlington, Virginia. I've landed there at the airport, as part of a stopover with Delta Airlines. I go wherever people pay me to go, Honolulu, Tucson, Oregon, and it all depends. See, that's a lot of money. This is my fee is far less than just the cost of an ambulance ride to the hospital. And I've seen people have to go to the hospital 5 times until they figured out the smart meter was causing their blood pressure spikes.
Makes sense. We're going to a break. Callers on hold, please hold on. We'll get you when we get back. We're speaking with Eric Windheim from the WindheimMFSolutions.com, talking about 5G and other technologies that are really causing us a lot of harm and what we can do about it. More right here on K-Talk AM 1640 when we get back from the break. This Defending Utah presentation brought to you in part by Anderson Accounting, AndersonAccounting.com, Trust Plumbing, 801-808-5470, Higher Calling Firearms, HigherCallingFirearms.com, Pioneer Family Scholars, Black Lotus Web Dev, BlackLotusWebDev.com, American Appliance at 801-254-2566, Shem Financial Services, 801-856-6151, and the law offices of Garrett T. Smith, 801-477-1570.
It's a fact. More photos of you are being taken than ever before. Are you ashamed of your smile? At last, a new technology that gives a brighter and healthier smile in under 2 hours. And it's fully warranted, so you'll never have to worry about your smile again. Call Dr. Jeremy Thompson at Thompson Dental, 801-254-0835, or visit GoNewSmile.com, and we'll show you how you can restore your faded, yellowed, or worn teeth without surgery, crowns, or implants. And it's backed by a 30-day, 100% satisfaction money-back guarantee. This scientific breakthrough will painlessly transform your appearance in one visit. The smile you've been waiting for will never cost less or look brighter than it will today. Call 801-254-0835 or visit GoNewSmile.com. That's GONU Smile.com to revitalize your smile. New smile. It looks good on you.
Welcome back to Defending Utah Radio right here on K-Talk AM 1640. If you like the things we offer, the program we offer, and would like to support our efforts, please go to defendingutah.org and become a member today. Tons of great benefits, as well as supporting the cause of liberty and being able to have this radio program right here on K-Talk AM 1640. This is an important program that I think we really had today with Eric Windheim from WindheimEMFSolutions.com. We've got one more segment left, so if you want to be a part of the conversation, give us a call, 801-254-1640, 801-254-1640 is the number to be a part of this conversation. We've got a lot of people calling in, having questions. Before we went to the break, Eric, we were talking, I was asking some kind of questions about some of the things that we get rid of, like video games, and, we're talking about getting rid of the cell phones in the house and going back to the landline. But also you talked about how it's important that we don't just go out and just buy a bunch of these silver beekeeper looking outfits to protect ourselves, that we need to have an expert like yourself come out and kind of see what the issue might be. So people don't think these are maybe contradictory, but kind of there is a baseline of things that we can do to protect ourselves, but once we've done all those baseline things, then we reach out to a professional, or what do you think about that? Yeah, well,
there's an order. There's a protocol. Detect, protect, and verify. Now, first of all, it comes with education. You're going to be fascinated by all the information that's out there from independently funded scientists that are going to show you this stuff is harmful, regardless of what the FCC or your congressperson says. Okay? So then you need to get a radio frequency detector. Now, I like the Safe and Sound Classic and the Safe and Sound Pro. They're very durable, small, lightweight, and accurate. Since this is an invisible toxin that may not hurt you until you get a very bad report from your oncologist, you need to find out what is it in my house that's emitting radio frequency or microwave radiation. Then you can say, aha, I found the culprit. That's easy. We just won't use that. We'll use it less often. We'll move it further away. Or we'll replace it with something that doesn't use wireless radiation. Okay, so you can clean up your own house, just like if you've got a thermometer in the medicine chest, you know when you need to take your kids to the doctor. If you have a radiation detector that costs, somewhere between $180 and $400, you can sniff out all the devices that are causing problems. Round them up, replace them, keep them off, and save yourself a lot of grief.
And so along those lines, you were talking about like internet devices, how we have the smart TVs. Do we just go back to watching, things on DVD and VHS, or because we shouldn't be having these smart TVs?
And, it's a simple thing. We stream with an Ethernet cable, okay? You can use Ethernet to stream via cable all the way to your TV. You don't need the wireless radiation going back and forth between the modem and the TV. That's ridiculous. It's just more convenient because Comcast, AT&T, they used to put cables all over. And then in the 90s when Wi-Fi started to surface, people go, the company said, great, we don't have to spend much time in the house. Just plug it in and it connects via radiation. and now they've forgotten how to do it with wires. So if you want to have it done with wires, you need to talk to someone who's been in the industry at least 15 years.
Gotcha. Let's go back to the phone lines. Let's see here. You've been holding on the longest line, 5. What's your name, and what did you want to ask Eric?
Hello?
Yes. Turn on your radio, and you'll be able to hear us.
Okay. I've just got one question.
Yeah.
That device we've heard advertised on the radio, a Blocket Pocket. Ask him if that is of any use.
What's the name of it?
Blocket Pocket.
Not familiar with that device.
Yeah, I've heard him talk about it on the radio late night on some stations.
Well, talk to a certified building biologist. We know what works.
Okay. Hey, appreciate the call. Let's go to line 3. You're on K-Talk. What's your question for Eric Windheim?
Yeah, this is CP. I'm in Idaho listening to you over the internet, but how do you know if you got a smart meter, your electrical meter is a smart meter, and what about microwave ovens?
Great question.
Microwave oven is a very powerful device. If your bank account leaked as badly as the front door on that microwave oven, you'd be broke before noontime. My recommendation is to be 20 feet away from those when you use them, or just find a way to cook your food a different way.
How do you know if your smart meter is, or if your electric meter is a smart meter or an old one?
Okay, well, the analog meter has dials and gears. That's analog, gear-driven. Okay, the smart meter will have a digital display, and most importantly, it will have a little thing somewhere on the front of the meter that says Fcc ID number. And if it has an Fcc ID number, that means it's got a transmitter inside of it.
And if it doesn't have the FCC logo on there, but it does have the digital display, then it's just a digital meter and not a smart meter, correct?
Yeah, there's a high possibility of that, but they put the FCC ID number so small, or maybe just embossed into the plastic, that you have to get a small flashlight and shine it on the face of the meter sideways to see if you can get a shadow from the embossed FCC ID number, which is almost intentionally invisible.
And if it is just an LED display and not a smart meter, are there similar issues as a smart meter, or is it?
Well, there's a really insidious one out there called the TWAX, Two-Way Automatic Communication System, or the power line carrier. Instead of radio frequency radiation going back to the utility, they send electrical Morse code back on the electrical lines to the utility. Unfortunately, it goes both ways, and it comes right into your house and creates a very toxic event of electromagnetic pulses coming off of your wiring that can make people in the house very sick. And even if you get rid of your own, you may be sickened walking underneath the power lines in your neighborhood or from the TWAX meter on the house next door to you. So the power line carrier meter is actually the most difficult one to try to solve.
Gotcha. Hey, thanks so much for the call. Let's go to line... where was I? Oh, let's go. Yeah, let's go to line 4. You're on K-Talk.
Yes, an uncommon occurrence here. Hey, my neighbor, this is 25 years ago or more. Anyway, he came down with pancreatic cancer, and the doctor told him it was his microwave. So he told him, don't use that anymore and don't stand around it. Now, these apartments up the street, they've got these big towers hidden behind them. You know, the apartments are kind of U-shaped in places, and so they stuck these towers. They're like 10 feet away from the building.
Okay.
And they're 4 stories tall. And
what's on them?
My brother, here's one for the icing on the cake. My brother's wife, they came and approached her and says, can we put the regional Wi-Fi on top of your house? You'll get free Wi-Fi. She says, oh, sure, that sounds like a great deal. So he's living under the main tower for the Wi-Fi of the neighborhood or even beyond.
Wow, so they get people sucked into that. I just kind of redirecting you. Do you have a question for Eric Winheim?
No, it's just, and then we've got all these little kids running around with the radiation going through their brains on cell phones.
All those different iPod devices and all those different devices. Appreciate the call. Thanks so much. If you want to be a part of the conversation, 801-254-1640. We've got some lines cleared up now. So we've had a lot of callers on this, and we've just got about a few minutes left before the end of the program. What are some things that you would, not really closing remarks just yet, but kind of getting us winding down again, what are some things that you think people should really start to understand about what's going on with this 5G and EMF in general?
Okay, 5G is going to include all the frequencies that we've already had that are well documented and hurting people worldwide. Okay, and there's going to be more antennas much closer to your house. It's going to be a total saturation. They really want antennas visible from every sidewalk, so we might be able to have driverless cars used by 5G. The rate of microwave radiation intensity is accelerating. More and more people are addicted to the convenience and the empowerment provided by handheld mobile devices. I want to point out that if you're making a cell phone call and that's all, you're using 1 unit of radiation. If you're using a smartphone to maybe watch a video, you're using 300 units of radiation. And if you're looking at a high-definition video on your tablet or connecting to the Internet, you could be using 1,300 units of radiation. So if you're doing anything more than making a text or a phone call, you're the problem. And as a result of your behavior, there will be more antennas up and down the street hurting you and everybody else.
There was a point that you made, I think, in the first hour of the program about this, about, some people will say, well, this doesn't affect me, that I don't have to worry about it. I don't feel this.
Quite often I hear that. They say, it's not hurting me. And say, well, let's take a look at your blood. Let's take a look at your endorphin levels. Let's take a look at your hormone levels. Let's take a look at your melatonin level. Let's take a look at your dopamine level. And, say, you've been impaired. You're just not symptomatic yet. So
you talk about how you've gone to people's houses to kind of see what's going on. Do you do that kind of evaluation as well?
No, I'm a building doctor, not a body doctor. But quite often when I turn off the main power supply, people go, oh, my God, what did you do? I said, I just turned off your main breaker, ma'am. I said, I haven't felt this good since I moved into this house 14 years ago.
Wow. Gotcha. Well, let's go to the phone.
And then the husband says, okay, now I believe it. She's been telling me this for years, but now I believe it.
Wow. Let's go to the phone lines real quick before we have to finish up. Caller, what's your question for Eric Wenheim, real quick?
Yeah, the schools, Liberty Walls schools here on 3rd East, I live nearby, has the tower. And I put on my headphones, it's AM, FM radio, because my car radio doesn't work. It is so strong, I have to turn it off. The interference, it's like mind-blowing. And same thing on 21st South and State, 7 East, 21st and 7 East, that area where they have the restaurant. Mm-hmm. You drive by there, same thing, so strong. I have to turn off my radio on my headphones. In one of these, it's an old-fashioned one, and it's so strong. So these schools, they all have it. That means those children are being bombarded, aren't they?
It seems like it happens a lot around these schools. Eric, thanks for the call.
Well, I know. I'm waiting for the question. What is your question?
I think it was just talking about how it seems like these things happen around schools and other public buildings.
Oh, yeah. The schools are hurting, so that's another spot where they put up cell towers. And, in fact, there's one, I think, in Jordan Valley, Utah, where the mothers are getting together and they've got 1 or 2 different cell towers on campus. It's sickening. They're exposing children during the time of their life when their cells are dividing the most rapidly. And, RF radiation is a documentable mutagen. Also, they've done testing on schools. One has a very low radiation exposure. The other one has a high radiation exposure. And the one with the lower radiation exposure tested better for scholastic and spatial reasoning. So wireless radiation is not the key to a better education.
Oh, wow. And that's what they've seen. I've seen a lot of private schools actually get rid of the iPad devices. Real quick, we're out of time. Eric Wenheim from WenheimEMFsolutions.com. Thank you so much for coming on. Anything you want to say right before we get off the air?
Take charge of your own life. Detect, protect, and verify that your solutions are effective.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Eric Wenheim, WenheimEMFsolutions.com.
You are listening to
We'll see everybody next week.
KBJ.
Thank you.
AM.
This Defending Utah presentation brought to you in part by Anderson Accounting, AndersonAccounting.com, Trust Plumbing, 801-808-5470, Higher Calling Firearms, HigherCallingFirearms.com, Pioneer Family Scholars, Black Lotus Web Dev, BlackLotusWebDev.com, American Appliance at 801-254-2566, Shem Financial Services, 801-856-6151, and the law offices of Garrett T. Smith, 801-477-1570.
It's a fact. More photos of you are being taken than ever before. Are you ashamed of your smile? At last, a new technology that gives a brighter and healthier smile in under 2 hours. And it's fully warranted, so you'll never have to worry about your smile again. Call Dr. Jeremy Thompson at Thompson Dental, 801-254-0835, or visit GoNewSmile.com, and we'll show you how you can restore your faded, yellowed, or worn teeth without surgery, crowns, or implants. And it's backed by a 30-day, 100% satisfaction money-back guarantee. This scientific breakthrough will painlessly transform your appearance in one visit. The smile you've been waiting for will never cost less or look brighter than it will today. Call 801-254-0835 or visit GoNewSmile.com. That's GONU Smile.com to revitalize your smile. New Smile. It looks good on you.